Hello YouTube and the metaverse and beyond. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. Today I want to talk about airbags. Airbags is a subject that is close to my heart, and it's something that I like to tell my story and how an airbag saved my life. Now, we'll address the elephant in the room first. I'm not here to tell you what to wear and what you should be wearing and when you should be wearing it, because the one thing I love about motorcycles is the freedom of choice. The beautiful thing about motorcycles is we still have the freedom to make the choices that we want to make. You can wear what you want, ride what you want, as long as you've got a crash helmet on. I don't care if you ride naked, that's your choice and that's your freedom. But I am a great advocate and ambassador for airvests, and I'd like to tell you my story and why I wear an air vest. As you would have seen in a lot of my videos, I wear an air vest no matter what, and this is why. So if you're new to this channel and you've not been here before, my name's Lee. I'm a development test rider. I'm half of the year I'm test riding now, which seems to be the winter months, and the rest of the year I go off and I do all sorts of events for the motorcycle industry. But predominantly up until 2020, I was a full-time development test rider for Triumph motorcycles, and I've covered over 1 million miles, and I'd like to say that I've done that without any accidents or injuries, but I'd be lying. So let's roll back to 2016, and a good friend of mine had an off. He ice-sided at Bruntingthorpe Airfield on a prototype, and he walked away from it. And at that point, Triumph had just started to issue the track endurance riders with these day and easy air suits, and he walked in the office and I was gobsmacked, because I was like, Pete, what are you doing here? You should be at hospital. From what I'd heard, you had the biggest eyesight of your life. And he agreed, he did. It was only the fact that he was wearing an airbag suit that he walked away from it. So I went home that night, and I went onto the internet and I started looking at what was out there for me as a road rider. So predominantly the biggest part of my job at this point with Triumph, I do a certain amount of track, but predominantly it was road mileage accumulation. So with the research I did, I came up with Helite to be the best in the market at that point in 2016. I reached out to a guy called Pete Riley at Helite, who many of you would have met at the bike shows and the different bike shows that are around the country, the ABR, the NEC. And he's the man that's always there. He's very knowledgeable. He invited me to his house, myself and the wife, and he gave me an air vest. And I said, how much? He went, no, I just want you to wear it, and I want you to give me your feedback. You do a lot of miles, and we can see the wear and tear that this vest gets. So I left that day with the air vest, and I wore it meticulously for 2 years. It just became part of my kit. And the one I had was just the over vest with the lanyard, which would attach to your bike, and pretty much like a seat belt. I got used to it really quick, having to clunk click, and like I say, it's something I added to my kit every day, and I wore that for 2 years before it saved my life. So the 1st of June 2018, I'm on a Triumph prototype. I'm down in the Cotswolds, and it was a Friday. I'm heading back home. It was a beautiful day like this. It was a lovely sunny blue sky, and I was forced into an incident where the bike failed. The bike ejected me from the saddle, just threw me, and I hit the car at 52 miles an hour with the corner of my back. So as I've left the bike, I've turned, I snapped my left leg off. That was an open tib and fib, and then I've hit the car with the full force of my back, and it felt like somebody just whacked me in the back with a baseball bat. I bounced off the car and I landed on a nice soft grass verge. Now the grass verge, unfortunately, would have been nice to have landed on that nice soft grass verge, but because I landed on it half and half, I broke my right hip. So I never walked away from that accident, but I survived it. And the only reason that I survived it was the fact that I was wearing this air vest. So paramedics came. I was airlifted to the John Radcliffe, which is an amazing hospital. They put me into the MRI machine, and they pulled me out of the MRI machine, and this kept happening 3 or 4 times until I eventually said to them, what's going on? And they said, we think we're going to have to take you to the next MRI machine in the hospital, because we think there's a problem with this one. Going by your crash report, you shouldn't even be talking to us. And we can't find one upper body injury. And at that point, I sort of smirked and said I was wearing an air vest. And they didn't have a clue what an air vest was. And they put me back in for a 5th time. I come out, still no injuries. And it purely was because I was wearing the air vest. On that day, at that time, the only thing that saved my life was the fact that I chose to wear an air vest. So Helite has always been my go-to. What does an airbag do? Well, it changes the odds. It gives us a better chance of surviving a traumatic event. A back protector will take the impact, but you put an airbag over the top of that, and that airbag absorbs the trauma. So all of a sudden now, that back protector is 50 times more capable of doing its job. And that's what an airbag does. The response time to an airbag is really quick. An airbag will deploy within 0.8 milliseconds, and it is super quick. You know, if you've ever seen anybody being blown up, it is super quick. So as soon as the airbag deploys, it will keep your spine in the position that it needs to be to keep you safe. And after 10 seconds, that airbag will start to go down, because at that point it's done its job. So there are a couple of firing mechanisms. There's the lanyard one, like I mentioned, and that's the one I had my accident in. I now run an electronic one. I will wear the electronic overvest pretty much in my working life, and definitely on track. Today I want to talk about the airbag that I wear predominantly. Most of the time I'm vlogging or I'm riding socially, and it's the one that I think was a game changer when it came out, because it changed perceptions. It changed the perception of young people, because now it's got a functionality as well as an air vest, and that is the Helite rucksack. And I absolutely love this. Like I say, it's my go-to airbag system now, pretty much for when I'm out social riding. Yes, I still wear my overvest when I'm test riding and I'm riding prototype bikes, but when I'm riding socially, if I'm out vlogging, then the Helite rucksack is the one I go to, mainly because of its functionality, because I'm getting a rucksack as well as an air vest. So this comes in 2 different firing mechanisms as well. You can have this in the lanyard, which basically is just the lanyard is attached to there, and then you attach it to your bike, whereas this one is electronic. So it has an electronic firing pin with the brain that sits in there. And yes, you have to make sure that you remember to charge the bloody thing. I mean, I'm on an amber light today, which means when I get home I will need to charge this. But I probably get 3 or 4 days out of this before I have to charge it. But like I say, I do like the functionality of it and the fit. It's a one size fits all. So pretty much it is just 2 toggles clipped together, and then you have your adjustment straps at the bottom. It does come with a waterproof cover that's attached in the back, just to make it 100% waterproof. I tend not to bother if it's just a shower, but if it's a case of it is absolutely tipping it down, I pretty much just put the waterproof cover on, attach it around the back, and you can ride with this in any weathers. It will not let any water in through the zips, so I quite like that. And like I say, it just stows away in its own little pocket at the back, so once you don't need it, just tuck it away. It comes with a front pocket, which I tend to keep my batteries and stuff in. Small pocket for cards, you get your phone in there if you want to. And then the main compartment, you can get everything in there. At the moment I've got all my DJI, my drone, and so on. You can also detach the actual bag itself if you don't want to run it with the rucksack on, which for work every now and again I have done. You can just take the bag off and that will stay separate. As you can see, you can also fit a water bladder into this and pretty much just use it as a water bladder backpack. Put the water bladder in. As you can see, I've been using it through the winter on the road. The cover's nice and dirty, but then you have a cover that you can just zip on, just to keep your water bladder in. And there you have it, pretty much an airbag with a back protector, and then your water bladder will come over the top, through there, and you can run it without the main bag on. So just to give you a bit of a backstory on Helite, it was invented by a French guy in early 2000s, a guy called Gerard. He was an engineer in the microlight industry, hence Helite, and he'd had a couple of crashes himself where he'd broke his collarbone, and so he came up with this idea for an airbag vest for microlight pilots, and he invented the vest. He brought the vest to life for 2002. He officially started his Helite company, and a good friend of his said to him, "That's great, Gerard, but how many really bad microlight pilots do you know?" So they looked at the highest risk of back injuries, and it was the equestrian world. So Helite originally went to market in the equestrian world for people riding horses, and then early 2010 they came to the market for motorcyclists, and they came to the UK in 2010, and Pete Riley, who, like I say, was an amazing guy. So anybody that's interested in a Helite product, I'll put his contact details below. Get in touch with Pete, tell him that you came from this video, and no doubt he will quote you happy, because that's the sort of guy he is. They started pushing it out and re-engineering it to be the best product for a motorcyclist. So hence I started wearing it in 2016, and I got to say, without wearing that vest I really wouldn't be here to tell my story now. And that's why even today, no matter what I'm riding, whether it be the mighty Scrambler, whether it be my monkey bike, as I always say to people, you know, it's a product I want you to wear, but I never want you to use it, because I've tested it, so you don't need to. And if it's something that interests you, then definitely look into it. There are other airbags on the market now, don't get me wrong. Helite isn't the only one, you know, but for me, they're my go-to. I'm an ambassador for Helite. I don't get paid to promote Helite's products. I took a one-off payment, and that was 2018 on the 1st of June. Helite airbag saved my life. It really did. And it means I can still ride to this day, and I've still got a life to live. All because I chose to wear an airbag. And like I say, that's my choice. I'm not here to tell anybody what you should be wearing. I'm here to give you another option for your personal protection kit. An airbag for me is the best thing that you can add. It really is. It really will change the outcome of a traumatic accident, and it will change it into your favour. It really will. Like I say, you might not walk away from it, but you will live to ride another day, that's for sure. So I have got other airbag products I'm going to do reviews on. I will do one on my Turtle 2 over vest. I've also got a really nice mesh jacket with an airbag built into it, Helite one, that Pete gave me the end of last year. I did use it in the hot weather, but I never got to do a review on it. I ran out of time and the weather changed. So I've still got that jacket. I will come back to that jacket and do a review on that. So price wise, for the Helite rucksack with the lanyard firing mechanism is £650. For the Helite rucksack with the electronic ignition, they're £775. And I know what you're saying. Oh my God, they're expensive. Yeah, they're not cheap, you know, but there again, how much value do you put on your life, or how much value do you put on the life of your loved ones? I spent 650 quid on a crash helmet, and you drop it once and it's done. The thing with the airbag is, and the beautiful thing I love, is the fact that it can go off once, it can go off twice, it can go off. As long as you do not puncture the airbag, it's good to go again. It's just a case of replacing the bottle. The bottles range from different prices for different air vests. I think for this one, if I remember rightly, it was 35 quid for the electronic bottle for this air vest. And the fact that if this deploys and it saves my life, you know, I just got to put a new bottle in it and it's good to go again. And just to put it in context, my wife had the Turtle, Helite Turtle air vest. She also was a development test rider for Triumph, and she wore that vest from 2016 until 2020. Now in 2020, her last shift for Triumph, a nice lady decided to drive straight through her on an island and sent her 10-15 foot in the air. She came down and she landed on her head. The fact that that air vest deployed so quickly, and she had a lanyard one, the fact that it deployed so quickly and it kept her spine in line and it clamped her helmet meant that she wasn't paralysed, because without that air vest, at best, I would now be feeding her in a wheelchair. I really would. She did damage her knee because she bounced off her head like a pogo stick and landed on her knee. She's just had that knee replaced, ironically, last year. She's now got a titanium one. But if it wasn't for the wearing the air vest, and bear in mind, she wore that same air vest from 2016 till 2020. So she'd wore that for 4 years without fail. Put it on every single day. And on the day she needed it, it saved her life. She still has that air vest. We just put a new bottle in it. So we're now in 2026 and she's still got that air vest. She's just upgraded to an electronic Turtle 2. Just because it's looking old and drab and it's faded, but the air vest still works, you know. So in the context of having it 10 years, when you break that down, they're not as expensive as you think. For me, they're not. Yes, that initial outlay can be a lot, but do you know what? I wouldn't be here today to be able to tell you my story if I hadn't chose to wear one. So let me know in the comments below. Do you wear an air vest? What brand of air vest do you wear? What do you think to air vests? Unfortunately, only 4% of motorcyclists at the moment today wear an air vest product. But I am starting to see more and more air vests out there, which always makes me smile. It always makes me happy. Because anything we can do to protect ourselves, to make life just a little bit safer, no matter how good we think we are as riders, at some point there's a what if, and at some point it can go wrong. You might ride all your life and nothing ever happens, and do you know what? I wish that for everybody. So if an airbag is something that interests you and it's something you've been looking at or you've been thinking about, and this video has helped you make a decision, then please give me a big thumbs up. Like I say, I'll leave Pete's details in the description below. He's a lovely guy, very knowledgeable, and if you mention that you came to him from this video, he will give you a discount, no doubt. If you found this video to be very informative and it's sort of swayed you to the prospect of getting an air vest, then definitely give me a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. But as ever, thank you very much for joining me and supporting me and helping me to grow. Give us a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, never ride faster than your angel can fly.
A biker buddy sets himself free, living his best life, letting it be. One hand on the throttle, never running faster than his angel can fly. Yeah, he's laughing with the wind as it slides on by.